Patrick Moraites, longtime friend of the program. Now let's just start off. What is employee leasing? Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, which that's a trick question, because employee leasing is the same as PEO, or professional employer organization.
Okay.
Another industry term that is commonly used is co-employer. So in all instances under that terminology, the PEO is known as the administrative employer.
Okay.
So they're handling all your back office burdens: payroll, HR, workers' comp, in some cases benefits, 401k. They administer paying your taxes, your state unemployment, your payroll taxes, and you as the business owner are the worksite employer. So hiring, firing, training, recruitment, disciplining, all that still managing, all that still falls on your plate.
Marketing,
everything,
growing the business, allowing you to focus on
a million other hats that fall on the business owner from a day-to-day aspect. The goal and objective of the PEO, or the employee leasing company, is to help offset some of those administrative burdens off your plate.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you look at the way that, business owners, again, it's so many ways, and Richard, you kind of alluded to it earlier today. It's like, we're already business owners, flashback 5-10 years ago, you're a business owner, you're doing things, and then you have, the advent of internet and social media now on top of you.
He was talking about writing 20 different articles or blogs. I'm like, man, in a week? Throw that on your plate on top of everything else, trying to keep up with the media expectations. It's there's no small amount of things on your plate.
That's right. Keeping up with the laws too. We've talked about in the past. You brought up some laws that changed, and if here I am. Let's just say, for example, I'm a construction company or a painting company. I'm good at my craft. I'm not keeping up with all these different laws. I might have people on my books that didn't have a certain type of visa or whatever it was.
Or as soon as you grow and expand, and you take a job in Georgia, or you cross the state line, then you're dealing with a whole laundry list of compliance issues and stuff like that the PEO can support you with and share in that liability and take that off your plate, so you can facilitate doing the job that you're contracted to do.
Makes a lot of sense. Stay with us right here, Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, more from Patrick Moraites. Back into it, we got Patrick Moraites here in the house. We're talking about PEO, professional employer organizations, and what is the difference between a staffing company and a PEO?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that, because it's oftentimes confused. So earlier we talked about how some of the other acronyms for PEO is employee leasing and co-employer. So the best way to distinguish between the two, if you think of a staffing company, they are a full employer, not a co-employer. So a staffing company is a traditional staffing company is going to recruit, they're going to hire, in some cases train, and place that employee for whatever job opening you may have. And it could be, there's tons of staffing companies in the area filling all kinds of different requisitions for jobs, anything from programming and IT to medical to even your warehouse and construction trades,
like labor type
stuff, day labor, all that sort of thing. So, a staffing company, another term that is often utilized is EOR, or employer of record. So a lot of times those two get confused, where the PEO wants nothing to do with recruiting, managing, training any of your people.
Right.
So, that's the biggest difference between a staffing company and a PEO.
How does a staffing company get paid, by the way? Because I think it's more expensive, right, for the employer. They're going to have to pay time and a half or whatever.
So it can be more expensive because the way staffing companies bill, they bill on a total burden. So they give you a flat rate per head. So in instances with state unemployment and federal unemployment, you reach caps and you stop paying those rates and fees. For a staffing company, you're not going to stop paying that. You're just going to pay a flat rate for the whole time that you have that employee on a job, unless you convert them into a permanent employee and bring them on your own payroll.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of like testing, test driving before
That's a good way to do it.
You buy.
Could
is
be
one way to look at leveraging a staffing company.
Yeah.
But it can be more, or not can be, it is more expensive for your organization, but usually it's for a small, it's project-based work is often
project-based. Yeah, because it is a big hassle for a company to, recruit, hire, train, I mean, that's a big hassle.
Well,
So I see that.
It's an expense in itself. So you could, if you're a staffing company, you could probably argue that it's a break even, because if you hired your own recruiter and to recruit people and going through the interview process and everything else, whereas leveraging a staffing company, that could save you, in theory, it saves you the time.
Exactly.
But dollar to dollar, when you put a PEO quote or proposal on the table compared to a staffing quote, PEO is going to be cheaper right off the jump, just from honoring tax cutoffs.
Right. Yeah, economies of scale. There's a lot of stuff that comes into play with a PEO that we talked about in previous episodes. We're talking with Patrick Moraites here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. So here's another question. If a company uses a staffing company, do they maintain their workers' comp loss history?
Actually, they don't, which is an important thing to distinguish. So a lot of times business owners end up being duped or confused and believing that they're going with a PEO, and in which case someone has misled them or misinformed them, and they put them with a staffing company, and the business owner ends up moving their entire workforce over to a staffing company, and in which case now they stop generating their own workers' comp loss history. So if they were to be unhappy with that situation and want to move, they would not be able to maintain or retain their own workers' comp loss runs, which is extremely important from an underwriting perspective when it comes to your insurance with respect to workers' comp. So that's
right.
That's one of the things that is important to note, that when you're evaluating, ask if you're working with a broker or an agent, ask and make sure that, hey, will I maintain my own work comp loss runs? Will I be able to see my work comp history? That way, if I want to move on and grow and move into a standalone work comp policy, I have the right information to provide underwriting.
Yeah, that's very important. I can see how that it's kind of very similar. Like an analogy would be if you work with a marketing company or a web design company, they design the website, but in the fine print it says, oh, if you leave us, we keep your website.
Right. Yeah, we keep all the code.
Yeah, we keep the code. Yeah,
we keep the code. You're like, well, that doesn't help me.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's like you're renting it.
You're leasing the website. Good analogy, by the way.
Yeah. So if you have a PEO, is a PEO cheaper than a staffing company? I guess that would be another question.
Yeah. So the PEOs, when you measure them up apples to apples, the PEO is going to be more cost effective for you, especially in the long run when they're honoring the tax cutoffs that we talked about.
Very cool. Yeah. And I know in the past you've talked about your Alexa skill. How's that thing rocking? Yeah, man,
that's growing every month.
Yeah.
Super excited to see where that goes. That's our HR Shield Alexa skill.
Yep.
So if you have an Alexa, we're coming out on Google Assistant within the next week or two. So really excited about that. There's 90 million users. There's 90 million people that have one or both devices in their home.
Wow.
So it's only a matter of time before that gravitates from the home to the workplace, and how to use that in the workplace. So we're really looking forward to just getting people comfortable with saying, hey, Alexa, instead of open Pandora, play some music, hey, Alexa, how do I terminate an employee? And and our skill, the HR Shield skill, walks you through those steps.
Wow. Yeah, that's got to be valuable for self-employed. And a lot of America's economy is the small business, the self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the economy is. So you said, what, 90 million households?
So there's 90 million people own an AI device, whether it be an Alexa or a Google Home.
And I'd be interested to know, like, what's the top things that people are doing. I think mainly, like you said, they're using it for music and,
to-do lists,
tell me the weather.
Grocery lists. But you're seeing more and more stuff come out on commercials where, Alexa is tied to your refrigerator or your stove and stuff like that. So it'll be
smart programming for home devices.
It's going to migrate into the workplace without a doubt. I could envision people just saying, Alexa, run my payroll. And there you go, you're done.
The gentleman that you introduced me to said he's running that like that for his company, I believe.
He's taken it to a whole nother level to where he'll say, Alexa, what's my accounts receivable? What's my accounts payable?
Wow.
Hey, Alexa, how are we performing on social media? And it'll provide all the reporting on responses, engagement, negative responses, reply to them. Do you want me to send an update to our investors? Pulls all that data. Yeah.
Hey, Alexa, call the people that owe me money on my accounts receivable.
Right.
Call them, email them,
Chase them down.
text
for me.
them.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
What's next, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it really is.
So, but that's going to create a whole new wave of jobs that we haven't even,
Right.
thought of yet. You know, so new industries will be coming up. So obviously, many jobs will be eliminated through the development of AI, but a whole new segment will be created through.
Do you think it's going to be a net positive?
Innovation.
It's going to be a net positive, or
That's what all the analysts are saying. That it's going to be a net positive of like 50 million jobs.
wow, interesting.
But
Very cool.
We'll know in time.
Very cool.
It's kind of like economics, right? We don't know what's going to cause the bubble to burst. We just know it's going to burst.
Yeah, there's a difference. There's sometimes a withdrawal or a difference between the projected numbers from a academic and an actual real world example of what actually happens.
Right. Yeah, and economics, it's so silly. We figure it out after it always happens.
Right.
That's the study of
Trailing numbers.
Yeah.
That's how you got to get real numbers, right? Right. Cool. All right, good stuff. That's Patrick Moraites, PEO Advantage.